Welcome to Global Leaders Organization, and thank you for joining our Business Acceleration 2.0 live stream event with Kent Billingsley, led by our host and CEO, Michelle Lemmons-Poscente. Kent is president of the Revenue Growth Company and author of Entrepreneur to Millionaire, How to Build a Highly Profitable, Fast Growth Company and Become Embarrassingly Rich Doing It. Make sure to download Kent's E2M Roadmap worksheet right now. You can see the link in your chat. And for those that are on social, they're going to be posting the link there for you as well. GLO members, please contact GLO Member Services to ask Kent a question. And for those watching on social, ask your questions in the chat.
Hi there, and welcome this morning to the Business Acceleration 2.0. I am Michelle Lemmons. I am the CEO and founder of GLO. GLO, we call it, from Global Leaders Organization. It is the sponsor of Business Acceleration 2.0, and we're thrilled that you could be with us today. We're doing a little bit different today. We've actually had COVID hit our family, and so I am presenting from our home. So we're pivoting just like many people do and doing things a little bit different and making it work. Our guest today is in studio, and we're going to be kind of reversing roles a little bit today. So it'll be interesting, and I'm excited for you to meet our guest and hear his information. Before we go there, just a quick note about GLO for some of you that are tuning in for the first time. GLO is a membership organization that's made for the CEO, the entrepreneur, the president, the innovator. We created the organization so that you could have a peer-to-peer network, a group of individuals like-minded like you, running businesses, so that you can interact with them and learn from them and discuss issues that you might be having. So today we've got in the house, in the studio, Kent Billingsley. Kent is the new author of Millionaire to Entrepreneur. And I'm sorry, Entrepreneur to Millionaire. Sorry about that, Kent. But he's not new to the business world. Kent has been coaching and consulting with businesses for 25 plus years, helping companies really scale and grow as an organization to heights that companies never thought they could, where they could actually sell their business, which is fantastic. So Kent, we're excited to have you on board. So without further ado, Kent Billingsley, welcome. And one of our own too. Kent is on board here with GLO as well. So we're very fortunate to have him on staff with us. So Kent, welcome.
Oh, thank you, Michelle. I'm excited to be here on this side of the camera. I wish you were here with me.
I wish I were too. We planned it, but you know what? It only means we're going to have to come back and do it again, yes, for sure, right?
Yes.
So let's set the stage, Kent. Yeah. So I know you, and I've known what you're capable of doing and how you work with entrepreneurs. But for those that don't know you, you created, your organization is called the Revenue Growth Architect. So give us an idea of what that is, how that even came about, and how you got started with it.
Yeah, so I'll actually go back 25 years, and I was working inside a large corporation, EDS, part of General Motors at the time, and I was doing sales force optimization. I was working with the sales organizations around the world and helping them improve performance. And the leadership came to me and they said, look, we love what you're doing with sales. We want you to expand that, put together a team. We want you to go back into business units, and we want to focus on optimizing the business units. And the point there was the business units were growing. This was the outsourcing space that Ross Perot had created. They were growing, but it was inconsistent. They were burning a lot of resources. They weren't as profitable as they could be. And so they wanted more predictability. They wanted more control. They wanted more growth. And they wanted to mainly stop losing to the new competitors. And so I formed a team. They gave me a blank check. We went in and I spent, in some cases, a year inside the business units. What was interesting was I actually picked the highest performing business unit. because my belief was that if you can look at the very best of the best, and if you can find issues, challenges, or things you can solve or fix or optimize there's a good chance those will cross-pollinate into any other divisions or business units. And so I want to go ahead and share with the group and the audience some learning points that I got out of this that you can use right now. And my years of certifications of learning business transformation, there's 4 questions that you need to ask yourself about your business. The first one is, what are those things that we're doing right now that we can leverage or accelerate? Number 2, what are the areas in our business that we need to fix or repair, or we know they're broken and we want to make sure they're working better and hopefully then accelerate them? The third question you want to ask is, what are pieces and parts that are missing? What are the holes in my business? And what are those things that we need to go build or buy or put in place to really shore up the holes? The fourth point, and very important, and this is probably the hardest one, of all the questions that you have to answer as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as a CEO, is what things should we stop doing? In every organization, there are all kinds of areas and emotional products or services or politically charged things that you just have to stop, or you can never optimize your business. So those are the things I learned. That's how I got started. The revenue architecture part was based on learning how to redesign, re-architect, re-engineer organizations to optimize not just their growth, but their profitability. And so over time, I became known as the revenue growth architect.
Okay, so you worked at this billion-dollar company. You became the chief strategy officer and the chief marketing officer. Basically, I mean, it was a billion-dollar technology services firm. You lived overseas. You lived in Hong Kong. I'm sure there are things that you learned additionally along the way for an entrepreneur for their business. You were working with business units. Let's talk just briefly about some of the things that you learned while you were in that position. That can help the entrepreneur that's listening today grow their business.
Yeah, and so from my success inside the business units, I was promoted. I fast-tracked to CSO, CMO, and helping around all of Asia Pacific. We had 16 countries operating. We had, with our JVs, about 11,000 employees. So the key points and what I learned, and this is what I want to share with the audience, is whether you're in a small business or you're in a large corporation, you want to fast track, you want to have impact, you've got to be entrepreneurial. You've got to not think that I have a role, I have a title, I have a job. You absolutely have to be entrepreneurial. Now, that doesn't mean be an entrepreneur and go off and start your own business inside a company or leave the business. What it means is, and I'll just give you one example, and there are lots of competencies to being entrepreneurial, but the one that's really important is you need to develop the competency for creative problem solving. Every organization, whether it's a startup, it's a small business, it's a large corporation, there are new and different challenges that they're facing. Those people that can solve those problems in creative fashions, in most cases without spending more money or hiring more people, you're going to get accelerated, you're going to get exposed, you're going to make more money, or you're going to fast track in your career. So the learning points I want to share with you, what did I pick up, what did I learn? So the first one is you've got to be entrepreneurial no matter what you do. Not an entrepreneur, that's a title or a tag or a role. You got to be entrepreneurial. The second one I learned is that as chief marketing officer, marketing is the most underutilized, underleveraged area of every business. And yet it's the area that should be accountable and responsible for creating the demand and the profitable growth for your business. And so I was speaking to a group of CMOs one day. I made the statement. They kind of hemmed and hawed. And I said, well, let me ask you, when times get tough, who gets cut first? Marketing. Cut the advertising budget, cut the promotions, you cut the PR. HR, who's usually most disrespected, they add people, they add headcount and dollars. And so it's the marketing that gets hammered, yet that's the one thing that can pull you through. And this is real important. And if you want to put this in your notes, you've got to make sure that marketing is an investment, not a spend. And I'll talk more about that in a little bit. The third thing I want to share with you that was real important in my learning as a chief strategy officer, and I've read probably 100 books on strategy and got my certifications. Strategy, if you understand it, there's really 2 points. It's position or path. But strategy, especially for a small company with limited resources, good strategy gives you the ability to say no And no is one of the most important things you ever do as an entrepreneur. When you try to do all things, be everywhere, add products and services, you spread so thin that nothing gets done, and you can never create wealth inside your business.
And that is such a common mistake with entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurs look, every little shiny thing. Oh my God, that looks so good. We should be doing it, right? So learning how to say, right?
Yeah, we get in the what I call the lust of the new project, or the lust of the new offering, and we got to dial back and go, have I really maximized this offering, or have I maximized this product or service? Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, good advice. And my father was a doctor, and he said he was an entrepreneur.
Yeah,
It's really interesting as a doctor, right? You really wouldn't think of a doctor, but everyone is an entrepreneur that's out in business today, right? So, okay. So, all right. So you left EDS, and then you came back to the States in 2000, and you started working for was it a startup at the time?
Yeah, it was a small startup, and I'll share this quick story there. I was over in Hong Kong. I'd gotten asked by somebody who had started up a little company called AudioNet. His name was Mark, and he asked me to come back and work with him. I said, well, I'm under contract. I can't come back. And I made a note, the next friend that asked me to come work for them that has something that I think might go somewhere, and I'll tell you more about Mark in a little bit, I said, I'll take it. And a friend of mine, he was in my wedding, he said, hey, we've got a startup software company. Leave the corporate world, all your trappings, come back and help us grow it out. And I said, I don't know, that's a tough call. I'm living large. I've got a $5 million apartment overlooking Hong Kong. I mean, I had all the trappings. He said, how about equity? How about a lot of equity? And I said, I'll do it. And so I came back to the States in 2000, and I took over this area of the software company, and I built it using everything I had learned about optimization, everything I'd learned about creating wealth. I started to apply to this small area of my business, and I helped it grow from 2 million to about 38 million in 2.5 years. And those are impressive numbers, but I want to share with you the most important. Now, this was a public software company, so anybody can talk numbers and terms and throw them out there, but in a public company, you've got to share with the analysts and the market. I built out a sales organization we had 2 people up to about 18 people as I grew out the company. And in software sales, if you experience, the average turnover rate is about 40%. Over a 3-year period, I had 0 unplanned turnover, 5% planned, and our win rate against CA, Tivoli, HP, BMC, all those players, our win rate was 96%, 48 out of 50 contracts in 3 years.
Wow.
That's what I want people to learn. I want you to learn how to do and hit those kinds of numbers, achieve those kinds of optimization, which are just shattering. And that allowed me to earn, about 80,000 shares of what eventually became IBM stock.
So we're going to learn that roadmap a little bit later as we get in.
We'll talk about that. Yeah.
All right. That company was sold. You retired. Just giving people your background, continuing that a little bit, Ken.
Yeah.
So you retired, and then you came out of retirement, right? Why come out of retirement, and what'd you start doing?
Yeah, it's one of the issues is when people that were groomsmen in your wedding are billionaires, you kind of feel like you've never accomplished anything. So I said, I've still got more to do. I'm 42. I want to give back. I had so many great mentors. I'd had so many great leaders I worked for, and I felt like it's not time to retire. It's time to give back and teach and show what I learned. I was getting calls from friends that were CEOs of companies, and one of them I met with him, and we sat down at coffee, and he said, hey, will you look at my materials? He wanted me to look at his marketing. I said, oh, your propaganda. And he didn't laugh. He didn't think it was funny. And I thought, wow, okay. And I said, I said, tell me your story. I don't want to look at your materials. This has been crafted, polished. Nobody, it's not the human touch. Tell me your story. And he refused. He goes, no, I want you to look at my materials. And I said, I won't. I want to hear you articulate your story, because if you don't own it, then nobody else can own it. And he goes, look, here's the deal, Kent. I put $2 million into this company. I mortgaged my house. My credit cards are maxed. I have no retirement. This is all I've got. This company's not working. I need your help. And I said, okay. And I went in. I started working with him. And I started to realize, what I had seen throughout my corporate career is that, wow, here were passionate people, a great product. Everything was in place. except for he didn't know how to make money doing it. He didn't understand. He didn't have the system, the mechanism to convert the products and services into contracts, cash, and clients. And so I said, I'll help you. And then I started helping others. And then, now several thousand companies later, I've got a few case studies.
Yeah, so we're going to, I'm looking at the book that's right over there next to you, to the right of you.
Yes.
I want to quickly, that's part of the reason why you're here.
Yeah.
You've got a new book that just came out. You've got a great forward with a very recognizable name. Let's talk about your book for just a second, because we're going to do an offering on your book afterwards. And let's talk about who wrote your forward. And then we're going to be jumping right into the content of this book.
Yeah, so I was real fortunate that I had several offers from publishing companies to pay me to write the book. And so that got me excited to go do this, because I've been kind of working on it for 15 years or so. But I talked with one of the publishers and signed the contract. And I said, what had you most excited, and why did you, pay me to write the book? And they said, there's so many books out there that have great ideas, great content, but there just aren't many books that really have a methodology. They don't have a roadmap. They don't have a mechanism to take people through the next steps. And I said, I think the issue today is more than ever, people are thirsty for leadership. They're thirsty for guidance of, if I'm here, how do I go to there? If I'm there, how do I go forward? And the key here was, I didn't want to write a book around how do you start, how do you run, how do you grow a business. There's 1,000 books, a lot of great speakers on those subjects. What I wanted to do is say, okay, let me show you how to optimize the wealth inside your company. Let me show you how to make money from what you do, because if you can do that, you can solve 99% of all your business problems. If you can't make money from your business, 99% of your business is a problem. And so that was the whole intent, and it's that roadmap to get there.
Right. And you had a very special friend write the forward, which everyone that writes a book would wish he would write their forward.
Yeah. So let me go back to Mark, who ran AudioNet. If you know the story, Mark, they changed the name. It became broadcast.com. Eventually sold it to Yahoo for $5.7 billion. That was Mark Cuban. So I've known Mark for almost 40 years now. And back in 2002 or 2003, I was up in the suite with him watching his team, the Mavericks. And we were talking about business, and he was asking, what are you doing now? And I said, well, I'm working with a lot of companies. And I got to tell you, Mark, the thing I'm seeing is every business I go into, they're great at what they do. They really offer great products and services. I mean, they're passionate about it. There's value. They're solving problems. But they're not great at making money doing what they do. They really, really struggle to turn that into profits, turn it into income. And I said, what I see all the time is people trading their products, their services, and time for dollars in what I call the exchange, which is minimum margin and return. They don't understand how to leverage the value impact of what they do. And when you can learn that, when you can build that into your business, things will take off. Mark said, I agree with you. He said, and I said, well, I'm going to eventually write a book around this once I get enough case studies. And Mark said, okay, you write the book, I'll read it, and if I like it, I'll write the forward. Well, let's see, about 3 or 4 months ago, the manuscript was completed. I got it to Mark. I said, Mark, do you want me to write the forward and you edit it, or how do you want this to work? He goes, no, I'll write the forward. I'm going to read it. I'm going to write the forward. He wrote the forward. It's a page and a half. My editors didn't change a single word. I don't think they touched a period. What he sent me in an email is what's in the book. And here's what he said, is that every entrepreneur needs to understand this. And he said he wished he would have had it when he started, because it's all about profitability. And he said it's a must-read book. So I'm very fortunate to have a great friend, a mentor, and somebody that's done it. He's the real deal.
He is the real deal. So, and he's been here on our GLO platform before too,
Yep.
as a guest. So let's get into, how do you leverage that? Let's start getting into your roadmap. What an entrepreneur needs to do, because as an entrepreneur myself, I sit there and go, okay, well, I think I've got a winning product. How do I leverage what I've got? And where do I need to really focus and spend my efforts and energy?
Yeah, and so I'm all about learning and passing on information and sharing. And so there's a worksheet. I don't know if you can see this on my screen, but there's a link and there's a worksheet. I'd like to go through that with you, and I'll give you as much as I can out of this and share this with you to help you with your business. And while you're getting that or printing that, I just want to give you the overview of what drove the roadmap and what also created what's in the worksheet. And so several years back, I started looking at the thousands of companies we worked with, and I've delivered now over 10,000 hours of content around the world. And I said, what's the common thread? What is it? And here's the acid test question. What is it that's helping certain entrepreneurs be successful, better business, growing faster? And then what is it that's helping this one group over here absolutely shatter their numbers, create retire tomorrow wealth, get valuations of 10, 20 million extra on their company? What is it? And that was the question that just ate at me, and I kept looking through all my notes and I kept analyzing. And as you know, I sponsored EO Dallas for 7 years. So I was working and sponsoring 150 entrepreneurs. And here's what I discovered. This was fascinating. This was probably my big aha, and I got more out of writing this than what's in the book, is almost all these people were calling themselves entrepreneurs, but they weren't entrepreneurial. Those people that had amazing success were truly entrepreneurial. And let me give you a few examples of that. I call them high velocity, high spectrum entrepreneurial traits. They were willing to do things that were uncomfortable and different. They were willing to listen and apply. They were willing to be creative in their approach. They were willing to invest in themselves and their company. Every once in a while, I'll talk to somebody like, "Oh, well, I don't want to spend any money to do this. My team's doing great. We're okay." You've got to invest, not spend. You've got to invest in learning and understanding. And so these were those individuals, those entrepreneurs. And Michelle, you know probably half a dozen or a dozen of them that I've helped become millionaires and multimillionaires, and they're on their second and third businesses. They were truly entrepreneurial. They put down their guard. They threw away their old models and paradigms and said, I'm ready to listen. You're the guy that walks through the thousands of companies. What is it? What do I need to do? What do I need to follow? And that's really what created this roadmap too, because this isn't a roadmap that worked in one company. It worked in 100 companies. This has worked in 1,000 companies, from pure startups to billion-dollar, I don't want to say names, but I could just point up the street here to billion-dollar companies that have been clients, and how I've gone in and applied these same principles inside their offices and help them scale revenue using their existing resources. And so let me get into this map, and I want to walk through one of these paradigms that you've got to shatter, because this is the one that's killing businesses today and eating your profits. The first one in this roadmap is last century's business success model that's still being followed today. You have to spend money to make money. How many of you have heard that? I mean, we've been told that. We've been jammed that. You got to spend on marketing. You've got to spend on hiring. You've got to spend on this area, SEO, and all these areas. And
employees say that too to you.
What's that?
And your employees say that all the time to you.
Oh my God. Yeah, but I had those 16 marketing teams, and I went to them one year and I said, bring me a plan, and you can't spend any money, and you have to triple the demand. You have to triple the leads. Half of them hem and hawed. The other half that were entrepreneurial found ways to do it. But those that weren't entrepreneurial fought me on that. That's based on the philosophy that I want you to understand. It's called more for more. And now here's what's interesting is more for more can make your business bigger, might even make it better, but it won't optimize profits because it eats money. The more you spend in sales and marketing and those areas, and I want you to invest in them, the more you spend, you absolutely eat your profits. You can never optimize wealth. So you've got to be really smart, and I'm going to help you understand how to do that. What's an investment versus a cost? Because I was a CMO. I believe in marketing. I build marketing organizations. I build sales organizations. You've got to invest in those, but you've got to do it properly. And what that causes, this more for more, is that 98% of entrepreneurs and business owners struggle with cash. They don't have enough cash on hand. They have inconsistent cash flow. They don't have any working capital, and they usually have latent receivables. That 98% was pre-COVID. Today, companies are being slaughtered. They're going out of business. They'll never reopen because they never created cash. They never created wealth inside their business. So now what's happened is everybody's pivoted and everybody said, oh, wow, gosh, there's more for more. I don't have any money to spend. And so now we'll fall back into what we call more from less. This is the next paradigm that so many companies are in today. It's more from less. I'm gonna cut costs. I'm gonna work my people harder. And here's the fill in the blank here. It says of that model is to cut costs, work everybody harder, and grind your people. I was talking to a company the other day in Pennsylvania, and the guy was telling me, he goes, I'm laying off people, but I'm keeping the grinders. And I thought, what? He goes, I'll keep the people that will grind. I'm going to let the other people go. And I dialed back and I thought, we're not going to fit. I don't believe in grinding people. I don't believe in giving them 3 roles instead of 1. I believe in creating a system where people can be successful and people can enjoy what they do, and they're not stressed, they're not burned out, and they're not ground out. This is flawed. This model and paradigm, more from less, is flawed because you can't cut your way to success. It doesn't scale. As you grind people out, you sacrifice your own health, you cut costs, you can never optimize that way. So that's not recommended. So I want to give you a different twist on more from less. And this is where, if you don't learn anything else from me, of all my speeches and workshops, this is the one I want you to learn. This is the difference between what I call business growth and revenue growth. Business growth is when your business gets bigger. You add more contracts, you add more clients, you add more employees, you add more services, more offerings, more locations. You add. Here's the problem, and here's why most small businesses stay small and they're scared to become big, because when you add a good thing, you add a bad thing. You add cost, you add infrastructure, you add administration, you add more management, you add more headaches, you add more employee issues, so you add the good things, you add the bad things, and what is it? You're still running on a treadmill and you're in the same spot. So the difference between business growth and revenue growth is revenue growth, and how I define it and how I want you to own this if you want to create wealth in your businesses, it's when you scale your revenue against an asset. In other words, when you can generate more revenue from an existing client, when you can scale revenue and top line from the products you already have, when you can generate more revenue per employee without wearing them out. And I want to give you an example. I'll go back to that software firm that I ran. How did I scale that out so fast and make it so profitable? So I had a salesperson whose quota was $750,000 a quarter. The last day of the quarter, they were out in, I think, Texas, El Paso, where they were. We were working with the oil and gas company. They were in there, and we were behind on numbers. And I was sweating. The team was sweating. They were in there. They were talking to the CFO, and we were negotiating the contract. And then we had the CEO, my CEO on the line, my COO, myself, the salesperson. And we said, how many divisions does this company have? And they said, well, there's like 11 or 12 or maybe 13. And we said, why don't we do an enterprise license? Why don't we offer an enterprise license instead of selling just to this group? I said, go get their CEO on the phone and let's negotiate out a contract. So we were looking at $1 million contract. That night around midnight, we signed a $13.5 million deal. Now I had one salesperson whose quota was $750,000, sell $13.5 million. They got a check, you ready for this? $864,000 commission check. Now, for a lot of people that blows their mind, but for me, now all of a sudden I've got one, I didn't add 7 or 8 other salespeople, which, just so you know, when you add a salesperson, you add 8 categories of costs. 8 categories of costs when you add a salesperson.
What are they?
That is a profit eater. So you're going to add your recruiting costs, you're going to add your management time, you're going to add your infrastructure, you're going to add your salary, you're going to add your commissions, your sales support, and I have a whole list in the book that I go through. Now, that can be an investment when it's the right person inside the right system that can scale, like I just shared that story. I can bring on one person. There's a client right up the street here. They had about 5 salespeople generating $1 million. Through attrition and some other issues, we got them to the point where they have one salesperson producing $3 million. Now all of a sudden, you don't have all these proposals going out the door. You don't have all the sales support costs. You don't have all the management time. I mean, all of that is pure profit. And that's how you create wealth, is when you don't burn those dollars and burn that money. So the point I want to make here is, this is when, how's this superior to other two models? It's actually scales revenue against your assets. And why is that the fastest path to creating wealth? Because it actually creates what I call business wealth. Now, eventually it can become personal wealth, but it's business wealth. And let me explain. I want to give you this definition, because this is another one of those that as a leader you have to own today. Business wealth is created, I'm on the next line, by dramatically increasing sales, revenue, and profits without spending more time, money, and resources doing it. So let me stop there. I'll go back, because I need you to own that. Because everything I'm going to teach you how to do is how to do that. It's when you generate more sales, revenue, and profits without spending more time, money, or resources. And I want to touch on time just for a little bit. A lot of young entrepreneurs, I know when I said 1995 a while ago, they were like, I wasn't even born yet. Okay. I understand. Time is an asset, and too many entrepreneurs abuse time. Time kills relationship, and it does kill deals. You have windows of opportunities as entrepreneurs. If you don't understand how to take advantage of those, you'll miss them, and they're gone forever. And so anyway, so that's the premise. And this has come from working with thousands of companies around the world, is understanding that to create wealth, you've got to maximize your sales, revenue, and profits with your existing resources. And I can walk in any company today, and I can find a way to double or triple any of those areas, sales, revenue, or profits, with what they have on site, with the people they have, the resources, and all that. And now let me talk you through how to do that, because I want you to learn. I usually get phone calls because there's something broken in sales, or there's something broken in marketing, or the company is failing in some way. That's usually what triggers my phone call. Sometimes I get the call of, hey, we're growing really fast, but we think we could grow faster. That's about maybe a third of the time. But 2/3, it's a broken sales problem, growth problem, revenue problem. When I go in there, almost always the leader goes, fix my sales team, fix my sales organization, fix my marketing. Now, are you ready for this? 99% of the time, that's not where the problem is. That's the symptom. The problem is back in leadership, strategy, organizational design. It's the business model. It's all these other areas actually set up marketing and sales for failure. But what we do as leaders, and what we're taught out there, is it's all about the people, so we attack the people. We attack the salesperson. We turn the salesperson. We burn out the salesperson. We hire more salespeople. Now you're just eating through your wealth. You're just eating through your profits, as opposed to fixing root cause. And so over time, I've walked in and I go, well, here's the problem. You're in what's called go-to-market right now. You've got your sales force, you're doing the marketing, you're doing SEO, social media, all those things. You're writing checks left and right. The problem is you were never market ready. You were actually never prepared to go to market. And so I've got to go back and I've got to rebuild and transform market ready. But before that, there's actually another phase that we've got to clean up, and that's called revenue ready. And so my point is, there's 4 phases, and I'm going to walk you through those real quick. There's 4 phases that you've got to put in place as part of the roadmap to optimize the wealth inside your company. And that first phase up here is what's called revenue ready. And I'll talk through the principles in a little bit. Let me go through all 4 phases to make sure I don't run out of time. But this first phase, revenue ready, this is validating the viability, potential, and sustainability of your business. Revenue ready. And I'm going to give you the 3 points in a little bit. But that's what this phase is all about. There are a lot of entrepreneurs out there starting companies because they've got this great idea, or they're like, well, I've always wanted to do this, or I'm going to leave my big company and I'm going to start this firm. They really don't have a foundational reason for being for their company. And here's how I test this. I'm kind of giving this away, and my consultant competitors will take this. I go into an executive team, and I've done this several times just up the street, and I have the team pull out a piece of paper, and I said, write down, I said, what problem in the marketplace do you solve? And here's the funny thing about it. They all have different answers.
And wait, Kent,
Yeah,
is that how you know when your strategy is not right?
That's how you know when your foundation for your business might have cracks in it.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's the problem in the marketplace that I'll expand on a little bit, sets in motion every decision, every message, every hire, everything else. There's this ripple effect that comes. So if you're not revenue ready, and then the second phase you put down here is what's called market ready. It's literally impossible to become market ready. Now, I've got to dial this back and I've got to put this in context. You can still have a business. You can still sell products and services. You can still have a shop here on Main Street. You could still hang a shingle out and you know what? Probably make some money. Probably have some fun, maybe have some employees and all that. You will never come close to the potential of what's in your business if you don't become revenue ready. The second phase is market ready. I'm going to unpack the principles in a second. The third phase now is go to market. And that's when you typically think of marketing and selling. And here's the mistake. Entrepreneurs, a lot of companies out here, they come up with a new product or service and they quickly go to market. The pressure is on them to turn it into dollars. The pressure's on them to start selling. The pressure's on them to go get cash and clients. And they skip over this whole market ready phase and they're out there just burning resources, burning cash, burning profits. And we justify it. We say, well, I got to be marketing. I've got to be selling. I've got to have my salespeople out there. And they're just spinning. They're just absolutely spinning. The fourth phase, after go to market, is the third phase. The fourth phase, and gosh, I hope all of you could get there someday. And when clients get here, it's a beautiful world. It's you own the market. You dominate the space. You own the segment. One of our clients right up here, they were... their win rates, their sales win rates, and these are very important measurements for your company, we're right around 17-20%, which is pretty average. Most people that think they have 30-40% win rates, it's really half that. And so they were about 20%. Working with them over time, we got their win rates up to 80%. They were now winning 4 out of 5 contracts. They were now starting to dominate their space. And the CEO, he makes the one comment that I didn't pick up on. He goes, we're doing it now without cutting costs or cutting pricing. We've stopped lowering and discounting, and now we're winning high quality, high margin contracts 8 out of 10 times, 4 out of 5 times that we were never winning before. That's when you're in that final phase, this own the market. So let me go back now, and I want to unpack. And stop me anytime, Michelle, with a question or two. I'm trying to get through everything so I can share, and then I'll go back. Let's go back into revenue ready, because I want to focus on these first 2 phases to really get these in place, because that's how you turn your marketing, sales dollars, and all those into an investment versus a spend. And the sooner you can do that, that's money, not just in your pocket, but that's back in your company that you can put back in R&D, you can put back in bonuses for your people, you can invest in new areas and things like that. So revenue ready, there's 3 principles. There's a lot of principles, but these are the 3 that I see in every business that you got to work on. The first one, principle number 1, I call it the fundamental marketplace problem. And what this says is that there are thousands and maybe millions of opportunities in the marketplace. Things are broken, things are missing, things are underserved. Underserved, just so to be clear on that. So when you find a problem to solve, you have to look at it and say, is this just an irritant? Is this a fad? Or is this something that could be the genesis of a real business? Can this be sustainable? And it's very important to look at the scope and scale. And one of the first questions I ask people is, well, what's the market potential of solving this problem? What's it worth to be solved? And you've got to work through those questions and be ready. There's an action plan in the back of each chapter to help you with that. You have to answer those questions and be ready. And now here's the twist. You have to find an angle on that problem of why it's not being solved or it's underserved. Because it's your angle that sets up principle 2, which is called your business model. And most people, their business model is market, sale, deliver, and support. That is the ABCs from 1960. Your business model must be unique in some way. And for an example, in GLO, you know what was the problem that was being underserved in the marketplace? There are a lot of CEO organizations. They're all over. I actually belong to one I've been in 15 years. What's being underserved is access to capital. Another one that's huge is content. And Michelle heard me from the first day, probably 2 years ago. I said, I want to bring the content side. I'm all about content. I'm all about delivery. I'm all about helping. And there's not great structured content in a lot of the CEO organizations. They have speakers come in, but there's not structured content. They're not methodical. We're delivering content every week, high-powered content every single week for almost pennies on the dollar. That's a fundamental marketplace problem that GLO solves. You have to look at that in your business and say, what's the angle that we're bringing? What makes us unique or special? Why us versus anyone else? Then how can we deliver it in a way that others can't? So what are we doing today? Other CEO organizations are struggling with Zoom. We've been delivering digital content since March. We've had the digital platform since March. We've been in a digital fashion. So we not only solved the problem differently, we're bringing a different model to the table. That's what you have to do. The third part of this is now, the third principle is revenue streams. Now, what are all the ways that your business can make money? What are all the ways that you can generate income? There's what I call a Goldilocks. There's too few and there's too many. And I'll use an example that we're all familiar with and we've seen it, and that's restaurants. Those restaurants that had a single revenue stream, they might have been, providing the best Mexican food in this area. They were solving a problem. But when they got closed, that single revenue stream, that walk-in traffic went away. They've now either closed or gone away. However, those restaurants that understood the takeout and business, and they actually built and organized their company, re-architected again for that business years back, not now during the pandemic, but they organized for that. They had two revenue streams. Wow, they could now surf or try to work their way through the crisis. Those that could do the other areas, other revenue streams, for example, restaurants that had catering businesses. There's still catering going on. It's not where it was, but if you were in the game before and you had that revenue stream and you had it working, you didn't have to play catch up. So you have to look at your business in Revenue Ready and say, what are the revenue streams that make sense? What are the ones that we can deliver on that bring value, solve a marketplace problem in our model, and make sense? This is how you work your way through the catastrophes and the crises and the pandemics. Another thing I want to say, half my career was last century, half this century. 20 years last century, 20 years this century. I can tell you right now, there will be another crisis. If we can get through pandemic in whatever fashion, there will be another crisis. No one can predict what it will be, but every decade there's 1 to 2 major crises that wipe out thousands, tens of thousands of companies. I've lived through the financial crisis, the S&L crisis, the Y2K almost was a crisis, the 9/11, the tech wreck. I've been through all those crises, and I've been saying forever, you have to prepare before they come. You can't repair your house during the storm. But if you're in the storm, these are the things you can be doing right now. So that's Revenue Ready. That's the first phase, and you really want to work through that with your team and be absolutely clear on what's the problem we solve and how do we solve it differently, and does that validate a market. Phase 2 now is this Market Ready. And this is what prepares you for making the most money possible with the fewest resources. And there's 4 key principles in this one. And what I want you to learn here, the first one, and this is the one I fix in every single company I walk in. Targeting, or what I call mistargeting. This is all about identifying that perfect client profile. I refer to it as your PCP. And so I wish we had a large audience, we could be interactive. But I could ask questions right now. Are all clients the same? No. You could be louder. Okay, I've got someone that's going to be, thank you. Yeah, they're not. There are certain clients that, and you know them, you have them, that you're like, oh, I love them. Oh, they pay on time. They do what they say. They handle their responsibilities. Oh, how do I get more of those? Well, you got to design your business for that. See, most entrepreneurs and companies, we take what we can get as opposed to designing our business to go get what we want or need. And so that starts with not just I want them or I need them. You have to do targeting, and you have to do 3 things. The first thing you have to do is understand what are the demographics. and I can't go into the details with this today. It's in the book. You'll get it. Watch my videos. And then you have to look at the psychographics. One is who they are. One is why they do what they do. One are facts, one are feelings. But the third one, and even more important, is characteristics. How do they operate? How do they believe? What's their culture like inside their company? You've got to triangulate those three things, because targeting is that thing, such as the marketplace problem, that really sets everything else in motion. With effective targeting, and then I can take you into the next principle of what I call packaging. And packaging is when you create bundles of your products and services and you put them into groupings that your perfect client profile goes, oh my God, I love this. I think a country and western song, I love this, I need this, I want some more of it. That's when you've got a great bundle. And that's what you have to put in place. Let me give you the power of bundling. And I was hoping that the CEO of the company would be here today, but we have the COVID challenge. Somebody I was working with in a company just up the road here, he pulled my arm back. He goes, you've got to go on this sales call with me. It's the largest account we might ever secure. You got to help me because I don't know how it'll turn out, but I want your guidance. So I went on the call with him, and we worked through the concept of packaging with the prospect. From that one meeting, we secured a contract worth $7 million. The company's total size revenues for the year were $5 million. In one meeting, applying the principles of targeting, packaging, FMP, we were able to double the size of the company without using any more resources. Now you got to hire to fulfill and provide, but that's a key there, that anybody can do this. And every company, if you're not packaging, you absolutely must. There's another company, right? I can almost point to their building from here. There's another company that we packaged. They tripled their sales revenue. Without adding any salespeople. Their salespeople actually have more fun now because they can offer the packages versus take it or leave it. All right. So now from packaging, the next thing I want you to move into, this is the game changer. If somebody calls me and goes, Kent, I've got X amount of money. I've got so little time. Do a transformation. What would you do? Messaging. Your messages. Everything from your phrases, your words, your symbols, your icons, your logos, everything about your messaging, and turn it in and give it power. Most messaging, most company names, most taglines, most names of products and services, they're really what I call emotionally neutral. There's no excitement. There's no reason for being. There's nothing there. And it's interesting, even in my book, if you look at what are the keywords of the search words today? Entrepreneur and millionaire. That's going to be in the title of my book. But that doesn't solve the problem. That's just the map, the before and after. But the key word in here, this is the trigger word, embarrassingly rich. Everyone I've talked to from the editors said, wow, embarrassingly rich. That's what I want to be. I don't want to be rich, gaudy rich. I want to be so successful, I'm kind of embarrassed to talk about it. That's messaging. And you've got to look at every message. And I'll just give you one real quick that you've got to work on. You've got to have a powerful 3-point value proposition. You've got to be able to articulate the impact your business will have from how their business has changed as a result of what you've brought to the table. Now, I know I'm running fast right now, but you can watch this video over and over and over. So, question, Michelle?
Yeah, I want you to go back to packaging because it wasn't clear to me. How do you know how you're packaging and if you're doing it right? What are the keys to packaging?
Okay. Yeah, so the first thing is ask your perfect client profile. So in that meeting I shared with you in that what was a sales call, we turned it into a business meeting. And after we presented, the senior executive said, well, this is really good. We like this. It's kind of like everybody else's. And so we asked them and said, how would you like it? Well, let's take a white sheet. Let's do the whiteboard. And how would you like the services? What would you like us to add? What would you like us to include? What would you like us to take out? How could we bundle this for you that you can't say no? And we did a brainstorming session with them. And that half-hour, 45-minute presentation turned into almost, I think, a 3-hour meeting. But here's the point. If you don't understand your perfect client profile, then you're going to get all these mixed messages and confusion and all of this out of the gate. Yeah.
Okay. You are packed full of information, and we've got so many questions that are coming in, and we've only got minutes left. I want to make sure we get to a few questions, Kent. So,
Yeah, okay.
but I also don't want to leave a really key point. So if you've got another really key point that you want to hit on, let's hit on it, and then let's go straight.
Yeah, let me finish. I want to do one more in phase 2, which is market ready, after messaging. And these are sequential. You do your targeting, then you do your packaging, then you do your message. Now here's the next thing, and this is an area that everybody's just leaving so much money on the table. It's what I call multiple pricing strategies. Every company I walk into, almost, they take whatever their products and services or whatever the market will bear, or take their costs and add 20%. That's their price. That is the absolute worst way to ever price your products and services. You should have multiple pricing strategies, from giving away things for free to things you lose money on, Costco, to then you move up to things you break even, things you make high margins, and things you make ridiculous margins. You've got to offer multiple pricing strategies where you can engage early and often and easily, low risk, all the way up to very expensive. Now, the key in all this, and this is why I want you to get the book, it'll be shipping very soon, is I explain how you have to make sure you bring extreme value at every price point. Like today, this is costing some people nothing to listen to me. I'm trying to offer extreme value. I'm trying to absolutely transform your business for free. You've got to do that. So, all right, let's go to some questions. That's market ready. That gets you prepared to turn your marketing and sales into an investment versus a spend. You should not hire another salesperson. You should not spend another marketing dollar till you understand those first 2 phases. Yeah. Go ahead, Michelle.
So this is a question from Peter. He's out on YouTube.
Okay.
I'm the owner of a small business with limited financing. What % of our operational budget should we be spending on marketing? That's a great question. Lots of entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
I've heard 20%, 25%.
Yeah.
What do you say the answer is?
So I'm always cautious of the one size fits all, because if I go into a business, they're overspending at 20% or they're underspending at 20%. So that blank here, you need to, first of all, stop spending. If you're spending on marketing, $1 is too much. You need to be investing in marketing that produces the results you need. And let me define the results, because there's another problem with marketing is, what do we measure? Clicks, CTRs, impressions, subscriptions. I mean, there's just all this. No, you measure leads. High quality, qualified leads. That's it. That's everything. And that's what you should demand. That's what you should look for. And that's what you should measure. Now, having said that, real quickly, I've got to say this is where we think sales is responsible for leads or marketing is responsible for leads. No, your organization, your enterprise is responsible. Now, don't fall into the everybody sells. That's cheesy and greasy. I can't stand that. But everybody should be helping create demand. Every part of your organization, and then what I can't get into the time right now, you should have strategic partners creating demand to where you're actually generating the leads you need and not spending any money. And that's what the roadmap will help you do, is figure out, boy, how do I spend the least amount, not 10% or 20%, what's the least amount to hit the number I need? And the number you need is the quality of leads for each month, and it should be growing. So great question. There's no
Good
percentage.
answer. That was
Yeah.
okay. Karen on Facebook is asking this. There are so many bits and pieces to a successful business. What is the one single thing I can focus on today to help my business succeed?
Yeah, and I mean, I just have to say it is I'm confident you have a good product or service because you're around. The companies that had really bad products and services are pretty much wiped out. So I'm pretty confident you have good products and services. Your whole mission now is learning how to convert those products and services into cash contracts and clients. And following a methodical approach to do that, so you spend as little time and money doing it as possible. You've got to work through revenue ready, market ready, to make sure you're in position to make money with your products and services without burning money getting there.
I like it. Okay, this one goes on to your messaging. This is a question from Karen Eastwood from TSE Staffing. So Karen asks the question, I have a client meeting staffing company. We provide support staff for large and small client meeting programs and events nationally. My company on average manages and books over 200 client programs per month. What can I do for the future, letting companies know we are still here? I've been marketing, however, not many companies, many companies are only doing virtual programs in-house. So this is your messaging.
Yeah, I think two things. One of them is identify who your PCP is, your perfect client profile. Go to them and ask them, what is the impact my business has on your business? You've got to learn to quantify what impact you're having. You've got to turn it into dollars. You've got to turn it into time. You've got to turn it into something about business. Now, business impact is three things: top line, bottom line, or both. You've got to go talk to them. And then here's the thing: get them on video and then get that video on social media. That is the cheapest way to get a validated testimonial out there. And that's the only thing that people are listening to today. That's the first thing I would do, is make sure you have a compelling value proposition from a perfect client profile, and now put that out on social media and stretch that out and continue to get more and more of those. That should be the first thing on your website.
Right. Okay, Kent, this has gone by so fast. It's already at the end of the hour.
Yeah.
And I knew it would go by fast because I know how much content you have. I want to make sure that everybody that's listening, number one, Kent, he has his new book out, The Entrepreneur to Millionaire. You can see that there is a roadmap that will help you build highly profitable, fast growth company, your company, into becoming embarrassingly rich doing it. So that's what we want for you as an entrepreneur. Kent's book is going to help give you the roadmap to help you do that. It's available for you. I know everyone that's there in-house, Kent's got a book for you there that's in the audience today. And we have another offering that's coming out by Kent for anyone that buys 25 books for their business. So you could buy 25 books for your employees. You could buy them for as gifts for clients. So anyone that were to buy 25 books from Kent, he's going to give you 45 minutes of his time to look at your business. He'll go in and look at it and say, here's where maybe the strategy isn't working. Here's where you could be helping, you need to be refining your message. He'll go through the different points in his roadmap and say, this is where you could be improving. So if anyone would like to step up and buy 25 books, either for yourself and employees or to give them as gifts to clients, Kent is going to offer his time to you for 45 minutes when you're available and he's available. We'll help coordinate that. So I think, I know as a value add for GLO with Kent inside GLO, I know how much he has contributed and what an asset he has been for us inside GLO. So I hope you take advantage of that. I want to thank Kent Billingsley again for being here with us today and sharing his knowledge. Kent was wonderful, and I knew it would be. Thank you so much. We appreciate you, and we're going to have you back when you and I can both be there together, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And did I say the offer right? Is there anything else you want to add to that offer?
Yeah, so real quick, actually, if you buy 25 books, you get 40% off through porchlightbooks.com, 40%, and they'll send them out individually for a little extra. And here's what I'll do, and whether it takes 10 minutes or 45 minutes, I will identify $1 million problem roadblock inside your company. I'll help you understand how to fix it. I can't always fix them in 15 minutes or 45 minutes, but I'll help you with your team, yourself, or whomever. I'll help you understand that $1 million problem and how to fix it properly at the root cause level. So get those books out to people. We've got to help business owners, entrepreneurs. We've got to teach them how to be more successful during these tough times.
Yeah. You know what? I want to say one more thing about Kent. Kent does do consulting with businesses, and he's, I think, one of the few or only consultants I know that does a guarantee. Meaning, if you don't see the results from his work and his involvement in your business, you don't pay for him. So there are not many consultants that offer that type of an offer, but he's that good and he's that sure.